What's going on, guys? Welcome back to another episode of Optimus Helps. Now, one thing I didn't really realize for some reason, because I'm an idiot, when I started this series, I didn't think I was going to get so many inquiries into this. My Twitter DMs have been destroyed, so I created an email address for you guys to send your inquiries to for this, which means do not send Twitter DMs for this series anymore. By and large, they will be ignored, so you can now use optimushelps@gmail.com. That's basically just the show title at gmail.com, and that's where you can now send your stories to. Or if you don't have an email, you can use Twitter, but I would prefer if you used the email, simply because my Twitter has just been getting completely destroyed. It's a weird situation, I know, but from now on, I'm definitely going to prioritize content coming from the email address. But I mean, yeah, definitely, I guess, send the emails. But anyways, this episode is going to be revolving around a 16-year-old who is at that age where they should be excited to drive, make money at a job, but this isn't the case. They're extremely scared to drive, their mom doesn't own a car, never has, they're not used to being in one on a consistent basis due to this, they're extremely nervous about working, they're anxious about slipping up and just making a fool out of themselves. Regarding their family, they don't really have connections with anyone and they don't care to bond with any of them. They don't care about that really though. They want to move away. They are only 16 though, they can't do much. They want to be independent, live alone, or at least live with some friends that are roommates. They live in the ghetto in Paterson, New Jersey. I don't know where that is. I mean, it's in New Jersey, but I've never been there or anything. But they don't want to be there. They're anxious about college. They don't want to go. They don't want to sit there paying for classes that they won't ever use. They hate school. They hate being there daily and learning nothing. When college is being mentioned at school, they're constantly told if they don't go, they're going to be a broke failure unless they have a strong business mind, which they don't have. But a side note is they've been working on the anxiousness by doing things that they don't like to do socially and just breaking out of the comfort zone. They've been doing and will continue to go to the gym to maintain good health and actually keep a fit body. They know they can't let their anxiety rule them, but they need advice about the future and how to handle what they're feeling. Thanks a bunch if you do read this. I love your content, and hopefully you can help me out. Alright, so I can't necessarily just give you advice about the future. I'm not a future reader. I mean, I can't really just be like, oh, well, the future is going to be great for you, and it's going to be perfect, and college will be great. Because, I mean, everyone's circumstances are different. I don't necessarily know all of your circumstances. I don't know how your home life is. I mean, you say you live in the ghetto, you don't like your family. I don't necessarily know what's going on at home, you know, it just, a lot of different things could be going on, I don't know. But one thing that I want to point off on right at the beginning here is you are apparently trying to break out of your comfort zone. Now, that's the first thing I want to talk about here. That is a really good thing, okay? Now, the first reason why that's a really good thing is simply because most people are so complacent with the bullshit that they get in life and like all their circumstances that they're dealt, and that automatically puts you ahead of the curve simply because you do that. Most people, even like right off the rip, like at your age, they're just like, oh, well, you know, all these problems I'm dealing with, but I just can't do anything about it. I'm just going to sit here and mope about it. And then they sit there for 30 or 40 years, not knowing anything about what they want to do. They don't try to better themselves. They don't try to better their situation. They don't try to break out of that comfort zone and chase anything that they want. And then they sit around, and once they're about 45 and that midlife crisis rolls around, then all of a sudden they're like, well, shit, you know, I kind of screwed up bad, didn't I? It's sad because that's how the majority of people, I feel like, really kind of let life go. And I realized that personally at a very early age, and I always refused to let it happen. And so far, I'd say I'm pretty successful in letting that not letting that happen. I'd say I've pretty much got everything that I needed to have handled for that to not happen handled. But with that being said, you're doing pretty well when it comes to that. I mean, to be 16 and you're stepping out of your comfort zone, especially in the generation we live in, that's pretty impressive. I mean, most kids our age, I mean, I'm 19, so I'm 3 years older, but most kids our age, whenever presented with a challenge that forces them to step out of their comfort zone, that forces them to try something new, that forces them to face anxiety and to face some sort of like social challenge, they will refuse to do it. So yeah, you're ahead of the curve. That's really good. And to keep, you know, good health, that's also really good. So congratulations. You know, You clearly have a decent head on your shoulders when it comes to that. And it's good that you know that you can't let your anxiety rule you. Once again, most people, especially people who deal with that, do not understand that. Now, I'm not a doctor, so I can't tell you how to handle your anxiety. That's something you'd have to speak with a professional about. But one way I dealt with my anxiety personally, I used to have really crippling social anxiety. One way I dealt with it personally was that I started leaving the house every single day. Now, when I first started living on my own, I left the house only a couple times a week. I hated actually going out and interacting. Like, I don't know, it was weird. I just had crippling social anxiety. I hated doing anything. But I leave the house every single day now. I either go on a walk, or I go to the store and actually interact with people, or I go hang out with friends, or I go hang out with family members, something. You know, do something. Now, when it comes to school, I mean, school does have its ups and downs. It has a lot of pros and it has a lot of cons. As far as them telling people that you're going to be a broke failure if you don't go to college, I mean, there are statistics that show if you have a college degree, you are more likely to make more money. However, I mean, that's not set in stone, like, oh, if you do have a bachelor's degree, you are guaranteed to make more money. I mean, obviously that's not a guarantee or anything, but if you do go to college, especially if you go and get a degree in something that's actually valuable, if you don't go get a degree in something where there's, 6 jobs on planet Earth for, and there's 7,000 people waiting for a job for, you have a pretty good shot of at least getting yourself a decent shot at life. Now, the problem is whether or not you can supply yourself financially to get through college without crippling yourself for the rest of your life through debt. Now, I'm not trying to, judge, but the way you're making it sound is that you don't do too well in school, which isn't necessarily a horrible thing. I mean, I didn't do too great in school either. I mean, I did academically well sometimes, and then I did poorly other times, depending on whether or not I gave a shit. And, I mean, if you get a good amount of scholarships and you can get financial aid, if I were you, I would take the opportunity to go to college. I think that would be a good experience for you. Not only would it help you get away from your family and help you roommate possibly with some of your friends, but you would also be able to get out of the ghetto you don't want to be in. You'd have an opportunity to get out of your comfort zone and go somewhere different and set yourself up with a good shot at life. But if you can't afford to pull this off, like if you can't get scholarships and stuff, then I would just wait. Or if you don't want to go, then just don't go. I mean, there's nothing wrong with not going to college. I mean, you can still go to something like trade school. There's trade schools, and they still do provide a lot of value to society when it comes to providing skillful workers who make actually really good money. I mean, you can go to some sort of trade school and you can go get certified in pretty much any field that you want, and you can go make 6 figures somewhere, and it'll be almost nothing like college. It'll actually be hands-on work. But at your age, I know you're worried about, getting, you're scared to drive and whatnot, and, you're anxious about slipping up at work and whatnot, but I think you should just get a job. I know it sounds weird. It might sound weird at least. I think you should just get a job, maybe at just like a retail place or like a fast food place. The jobs aren't that great, they don't pay the best, but the work isn't backbreaking, and, it isn't completely horrible. I mean, it's not the worst job on planet Earth. And at the same time, once again, you'll be stepping a little bit out of your comfort zone. You'll be kind of, doing something you don't like to do socially. You'll make a little bit of money, and then at that time, you'll have money to build up. If you do decide you want to go to college, you'll have some money saved up for college. If not, you'll have some money saved up. That way you can just kind of build forward towards your future, do whatever you want to do, move out. You'll have money to put towards an apartment or buy a car with. I mean, you're 16 years old. You have 2 years until you're an adult. You can get a job. You still have school. You're not even in the actual prime of your life yet. Like, you still have plenty of time to figure everything out. I know school really makes it seem like everything is coming so fast, but I mean, it really isn't. It really just... School is weird because, like, they make it out like if you don't go to college the moment you graduate high school, it's over. But no, it's really not. I mean, you can take a year or two off even in between and just work your ass off, save up some money, then go to college if you want to. I mean, you have plenty of time. You're not even 20 years old yet. I mean, it sounds weird since I'm 19 to say this, but even when I was your age, I still didn't even fully know what I wanted to do. I mean, I wanted to be a YouTuber, obviously, and like that was my dream job. But I mean, it wasn't like a realistic job, but like I didn't know what I wanted to do. I was in school for computer programming and I kind of figured that's what I'd end up doing, but I didn't know for sure what I wanted to end up, you know? It's weird how just a couple years can change everything. And even though like right now, it seems like all the pressure of everything building up right now seems like you only have, you know, like the lights right there at the end of the tunnel. I mean, you still have, you know, a long way to go, even before you graduate. It really is a lot longer than you think. You have plenty of time to think things out, make a lot of decisions. You're gonna grow up a lot during that time. Your mind's gonna change on a lot of different things. When I was 16, I was dead set on going to a 4-year university. I'm 19 now. I'm not even in college. You know what I'm saying? I'm 19 now. I'm a YouTuber. I own a business on the side. I mean, 3 years, and that's how much my life changed compared to where I was when I was your age. So then again, my circumstances aren't necessarily like the average circumstances. I kind of had a very rare set of cards kind of thrown my way. However, you can make the best out of, I think, pretty much any situation given to you. And even though you obviously don't have the best situation of all time, I mean, it's very apparent that your family doesn't live in a 30-bedroom mansion with 5 Lamborghinis sitting on each end of the driveway out front by the fountain with $1 million that gets transferred into your personal bank account every single day of the week. But that's something that you can also use to fuel you, because I didn't grow up like that either. I mean, I didn't grow up, you know, dirt poor on, you know, in a 1-bedroom apartment or anything, but my parents worked their ass off to provide me with what I had, to provide me and my siblings with what I had. And I grew up in an environment of hardworking people, and I looked up to some hardworking people, and I grew up in a city where, I mean, you say your city's ghetto. I grew up in a city where, you know, a drug epidemic was at its peak. Crime rates were constantly rising. I was watching people overdose in grocery store parking lots when I was your age, and, you know, I was watching people in the street when I was a kid overdosing on heroin. You know, circumstances change. They do. And even though right now, you know, you're anxious and you don't know what's going on and you have a lot of fear about what's going on, you will provide yourself with a little bit of clarity as long as you just take a little bit of time to think about the situation, think about what you really want to do, and just kind of sit back, enjoy the last few years of what you can consider, I guess, your quote-unquote childhood. Enjoy your last few years of high school, because you might miss it. I don't know. Some people don't. I kind of miss high school. I kind of don't. You know, it's weird, but everything will end up fine. It really will. Your anxiety's not going to rule you forever. Eventually, you will be able to provide yourself a little bit of clarity. Anyways, that's going to be it for this episode, you guys. Thank you for watching. If you did enjoy, make sure to leave a like, subscribe if you're brand new. Follow me over on Twitter at @SubToOptimus. I post memes, thoughts, and updates over there. It's a surefire way to join. It's a surefire way to get notifications of all my newest content. Join the Discord down below. Lots of great things going on down there as well. If you'd like to submit an inquiry for this series, you can do so at optimushelps@gmail.com. Thank you to my channel members for your $5 a month. Your support helps my channel tremendously. If you'd like to become one, you can do so by hitting the join button down below. And until my next video, guys, this is Optimus, helping you with your problems, and signing out.